Welcome to my official preseason top 25 rankings for the 2024 college football season. We did a way too early top 25 prediction and we also did a pre-spring top 25 prediction. But the college football season is just a few Saturdays away, so today I'm giving my preseason top 25. Now let's start off with my number 25 team, and I have Louisville. I do think Louisville will crack the top 25. They made the ACC championship game last season, and Louisville is a team that returns 81% of the production from last season defensively, which is actually top 8 in the country. They had a great transfer portal class as well. Jeff Brom has used the transfer portal pretty well. They brought in some great playmakers offensively, which they desperately need. Ja'Cory Brooks from Alabama and Colin Lacey from South Alabama are both 4 stars. And Colin Lacey for South Alabama was actually 7th in the country last season for receiving yards. Louisville could have another great year in the ACC, and I do have my questions with the offense. They added Tyler Shuck, who is a very injury-prone quarterback, and I'm not too high on him. They also lost multiple offensive linemen, but regardless, this is still a very good football team, and I do have Louisville at number 25, because on the bright side, the defense has massive upside. And at number 24, I have Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a big sleeper in the ACC this season. They won 5 of their last 7 games to finish last season. They returned 84% of the production from last season, which is actually 4th in the country. Kyron Jones is a quarterback on the rise, and they return all 11 starters on the offensive side of the ball. The defense was also pretty good last season, and I expect it to take a step forward in 2024. They could be a very good team in 2024, and I do have them at number 24. At number 23, I have USC. I highly doubt USC will be unranked to start the season. They have great offensive upside. Lincoln Riley coached football teams have won 10 plus games every year up to 2023, and ultimately they had a tough 2023 season. USC finished the regular season 7-5, but they ended the season by beating Louisville in their bowl game, and Miller Moss had a breakout game at quarterback. Zachariah Branch will be a huge playmaker for that USC offense. I have no concerns with the offense. The questions come on the defensive side of the ball, but they have a completely revamped defensive coaching staff. USC has a bunch of new transfers as well defensively. USC had a terrible defense last season, and I don't see the defense being as bad as it was last season. It will still probably be bad, and they might have a rude awakening joining the Big Ten. But I really like what USC has offensively, and the defense has potential to grow with the new coach and staff. And I do have USC at number 23. At number 22, I have Texas A&M. Mike Elko was a solid hire for A&M. Mike Elko has taken over a pretty talented roster, and I really wouldn't be surprised if A&M won right away with head coach Mike Elko. They have the 4th highest rated transfer portal class in the country. They added edge rusher Nick Scorton, who is one of the best defensive players in the whole country. I'm pretty high on Texas A&M, and they could be a sleeper to make the college football playoff. They have a manageable schedule, and 10-2 is probably the ceiling, but it's not out of the possibility for them to go 10-2 and make the playoffs. Ultimately, a lot would have to happen, but in my recent prediction for them, I actually had Texas A&M going 9-3. Connor Wigman will be the quarterback, and he could be great if he stays healthy. Texas A&M also has a great defense, and I really like the hire of Mike Elko, and I do have Texas A&M at number 22. At number 21, I have Arizona. Arizona had an incredible 2023 season, and they won 10 games. They ultimately lost their head coach, and they had a lot of guys transfer out, but this team is definitely flying under the radar. They return 8 starters on defense. They have one of the best secondaries in the Big 12. And offensively, they return Noah Fafita and Tetero McMillan, who might just be the best quarterback-receiver duo in all of college football. The hype has died down for this team, but I don't think people actually realize how much Arizona returns. People should really watch out for this Arizona team because they could prove a lot of people wrong this season because they still have a very good roster. And I do have Arizona at number 21. At number 20, I have Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State made the Big 12 championship game last season. They are top 3 in the country for return and production. They return all the offensive linemen, and they return one of the best running backs in the country, Ollie Gordon. They have been a very streaky team, but I do think they are a legit contender to win the Big 12 in 2024. Obviously, quarterback Alan Bowman will need to cut back on turnovers, but Mike Gundy and this Oklahoma State squad is set up perfectly for the 2024 season, and I do have them at number 20. At number 19, I have Clemson. And I'm really not as high in Clemson as most people are, and I only have Clemson winning 8 games, but I'm 100% sure that this is a team that will start the season ranked. They do return 79% of the production offensively, but they also have one of the best defenses in the ACC and probably in the whole country. Cade Klubnik really has a lot to prove at quarterback, The offense has to show growth if they want to compete for an ACC title and a playoff berth. Dabo Swinney has refused to use the portal and it is hurting Clemson as a program. But regardless, this is still a very good football team and I can't put them any lower, and I do have Clemson at number 19. At number 18, I have Utah. Utah had a pretty disappointing 2023 season. Injuries really hurt this team, but they do return one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12, Cam Rising, for his final season. Cam Rising is a guy that helped lead Utah to back-to-back Pac-12 championships in 2021 and 2022. Utah also added multiple wide receivers from the transfer portal. Dorian Singer from USC and Tayshawn Lyons from Washington should both get involved in the offense. Micah Pittman Jr. will be back as well, and Cam Rising will have some weapons to throw to. Utah also has a great coach and the defense will always be good. They are one of the favorites to win the Big 12 and I do have them at number 18. At number 17, I have Oklahoma. Oklahoma is one of the more unpredictable teams in the SEC heading into 2024. They are heading into a new conference. They have a first-year starter at quarterback and a whole new offensive line. But they do have a very good and underrated group of wide receivers. And defensively, they return 86% of the production, which is third in the country. I think Oklahoma could take a massive leap defensively in 2024, and maybe this is a team that is being slept on. But I do have Oklahoma at number 17. At number 16, I have NC State. NC State has to be one of the biggest sleepers heading into next season. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they won the ACC over teams like Florida State, Miami, and Clemson. Dave Doeren has kept this NC State team consistently good, but maybe next season could be the year they take that next step and win double-digit games and possibly compete for an ACC title. The offense has really great upside. Kevin Concepcion will be one of the best receivers in the ACC. They also added Noah Rogers, Wesley Grimes, and Justin Jolie. They added Jordan Waters at running back as well, who led Duke in rushing yards last season. NC State added a lot of pieces offensively. But not only do they have the skill position players on offense, but they finally have a good quarterback, and I really believe in Grayson McCall. I think Grayson McCall is extremely underrated, and he was a massive addition for NC State. I wouldn't be surprised if Grayson McCall was a top 2 quarterback in the ACC. And if the defense continues to live up to the expectation and the offense takes the right step forward, NC State will be a serious contender. And I am pretty high on them, and I have them at number 16. At number 15, I have Kansas State. Kansas State does return 79% of the production on defense from last season. Chris Kleiman should keep this team consistently good. Texas and Oklahoma are not in the conference anymore, and Kansas State might just be the favorite to win the Big 12 moving forward. They do have questions on the offensive line, but Avery Johnson is a quarterback on the rise, and they have a great running back room. They added Dylan Edwards, who was a massive addition on the offensive side. He should do a lot for this team. And Kansas State should be a really good team in 2024, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if they won the Big 12, and I do have them at number 15. At number 14, I have Miami. Miami had an incredible offseason, one of the best in the country. They brought in Cam Ward to be the quarterback. Cam Ward is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They also added Damian Martinez, who is also one of the best running backs in the country. Miami returns their top 2 wide receivers, and they added 800-yard receiver Sam Brown from Houston. The offensive line is very solid, and this should be a very good offense in 2024. The defense should also continue to show growth. All those young guys are coming up, and this Miami roster is very talented from top to bottom. Some people don't want to buy the hype with this Miami team, but I totally believe in this team. I can't see anything less than a 9-win season for the Hurricanes in 2024. They took a step forward in 2023. Ultimately, they only won 7 games, but it was a step forward. And I think they're going to take another step forward in 2024, which could ultimately be a double-digit win season and possibly an ACC championship. And I am pretty high on Miami, and I do have them at number 14. At number 13, I have LSU. Some people might have LSU higher because of how incredibly talented that roster actually is, but I still think the defense needs to show a lot more growth. And they lost some key pieces offensively as well. Garrett Nussmeier should be really good at quarterback, but he's not Jaden Daniels. Anything less than a Heisman Trophy for Garrett Nussmeier would be a step down. I do expect the offense to be really good again, but they should definitely take a step down offensively, and the defense still has big concerns. They have time to make it right with the new defensive coordinator Blake Baker. They should be a really good team in 2024, and I do have them at number 13. At number 12, I have Tennessee. I'm really high on this Tennessee team. The defense took a big step forward last season, and I expect them to be pretty solid defensively in 2024. And offensively, they should be a lot better in 2024 with Nico Iamaleava at quarterback. We know Josh Heupel and Tennessee can be very good offensively. Look what they did in 2022. They had the number one offense in 2022 when they had Heisman Trophy contender Hendon Hooker. Nico Iamaleava gives Tennessee massive offensive upside moving forward. They returned Squirrel White and Brew McCoy, and they added a big addition that is under the radar, the addition of Chris Braswell, who should fit perfectly into that offense. The passing game should take a big leap in 2024, and the run game should be pretty good with Dylan Sampson at running back. Tennessee will be a very fun team to watch in 2024, and I do have them at number 12. At number 11, I have Florida State. Florida State has to reload after only returning 8 starters and ranking 83rd in the country for return in production. But Mike Norvell did his thing in the portal, and I expect Florida State to be one of the top teams in the country once again. DJU has a lot to prove at quarterback, but I really wouldn't be surprised at all if he took massive leaps under Mike Norvell. The defense should be really good, and Marvin Jones Jr. will be a huge disruptor on that defense. I think Florida State will be really good again, and I do have them at number 11. At number 10, I have Missouri. It would be disrespectful to leave this team out of the top 10. They were one of the surprise teams of last season. They won double-digit games in the SEC, and they won their New Year's Six bowl game against Ohio State to finish the season. They returned Brady Cook and their top 4 wide receivers as well. The defense did lose some guys, and they lost their defensive coordinator Blake Baker. But regardless, this should be a very good team, and I do have them at number 10. At number 9, I have Michigan. Michigan might be near the bottom of the country for return in production, but I can't leave this team out of the top 10. The defense returns multiple All-Americans, and they just made the national championship last season. Will Johnson is back in the secondary. Defensive tackles Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant are back. They might be the best group of defensive tackles in the country. The roster was extremely deep last season, and they will probably have a top 5 defense again, maybe even top 3. The offense has some concerns. More specifically at the quarterback position, they still need to figure it out there. But I totally believe Donovan Edwards will be one of the best running backs in the country. He was waiting his turn behind Blake Corum, but Donovan Edwards is a beast at running back, and now that he's a starter, he will go off in 2024. And I do expect Michigan to be a really good team, and I have them at number 9. At number 8, I have Penn State. Penn State returned 67% of the production from last season, and if there is any year for Penn State to finally get over the hump and win the Big Ten, it could honestly be this upcoming season. They have a very favorable schedule, and their only big game is against Ohio State at home. They have a lot of experienced players on that team as well. And I'm definitely not calling my shot or anything. Penn State could easily go 10-2 again, and I wouldn't be surprised. But they do have one of the best defenses in the country, and this is a very good team, and I do have them at number 8. At number 7, I have Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame has a lot of potential moving forward. They added offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock from LSU, and LSU had the number 1 scoring offense and Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels last season. Notre Dame also added Riley Leonard at quarterback, and I think he will be an upgrade for them at quarterback. They added some new weapons at wide receiver as well from the portal, and Jeremiah Love should be a really good running back for them. The defense will be one of the best in the country. They return a very elite secondary. Notre Dame should start this season ranked high, and I have them at number 7. At number 6, I have Ole Miss. Ole Miss was already a really good team last season. They won 11 games, they won their New Year's Six bowl game, and their only losses on the season came to Alabama and Georgia. Ole Miss returns a lot of the offensive production from last season. Jackson Dart is back at quarterback. Trey Harris and Jordan Watkins are back at wide receiver. They have the number 1 transfer portal class in the country, bringing in big-time additions on the defensive line like Walter Nolan and Princely Yu. They could be a force for Ole Miss up front. And if Ole Miss takes the right step defensively with all of these transfers, they could be a huge problem in college football. And they could be a legit national title contender if they do take the right step forward defensively. And I am pretty high on Ole Miss, so I do have them at number 6. At number 5, I have Alabama. Kalen DeBoer was a winner at Washington, and I think he is absolutely going to be a winner at Alabama as well. People might be underestimating how good this Alabama team can actually be with Kalen DeBoer. He led a team of 3 and 4 stars to the national championship game last season, and he's already bringing in the number 1 recruiting class for 2025. Ultimately, a lot could change in the 2025 recruiting cycle, but it is impressive that Alabama right now has the number 1 2025 recruiting class. Bama lost a lot of guys to the NFL from last season, but Kalen DeBoer brought in a top 5 transfer portal class as well, and they returned Jalen Milroe at quarterback. And I'm telling you, Jalen Milroe could potentially take massive leaps under Kalen DeBoer. If Jalen Milroe develops a consistent passing game, he will probably be a Heisman Trophy winner, and I truly believe that. Kalen DeBoer so far is doing everything right at Alabama, and ultimately the results have to show on the field. But I expect Alabama to be a national title contender every year moving forward with Kalen DeBoer at head coach. It definitely sucks to lose Saban, but I believe in Kalen DeBoer, and really don't be surprised if he is competitive with Kirby Smart for that top spot in the SEC. And I do have Alabama at number 5 for my preseason top 25. At number 4, I have Oregon. Dan Lanning is building something incredible at Oregon. They are top 30 in the country for returning production. They also have the second best transfer portal class in the country. They have a top 5 2024 and 2025 recruiting class. They are definitely trending in the right direction. They should have a great year one in the Big Ten. They are one of the favorites to win the 2024 national championship, and I do have them at number 4. At number 3, I have Texas. You could easily swap Oregon and Texas. Maybe Oregon has the better roster, but I have Texas above Oregon because they returned Quinn Ewers at quarterback, and they did make the college football playoff last season, which Oregon didn't do. Texas is also top 30 in the country for returning production, just like Oregon. They have a top 5 transfer portal class, and they are doing a pretty good job on the recruiting trail. They should have one of the most explosive offenses in all of college football next season. And Quinn Ewers to Isaiah Bond will be incredible to watch. And I do have Texas at number 3. At number 2, I have Ohio State. It's honestly national championship or bust at this point for Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes. They had the best offseason out of any team in college football, and I don't even think it was close. Ole Miss had an incredible transfer portal class, but what Ohio State did overall was insane. First of all, they managed to bring back a bunch of guys that could have went to the NFL, and they returned 9 starters on defense. They also added the best safety in college football, Caleb Downs. Ryan Day went out and hired Chip Kelly to run the offense, and it's crazy how talented this roster is. The only other team that has the same talent as Ohio State is probably Georgia, and I do have Georgia at number 1. They might have just been the best team in college football last season, but ultimately they lost to Alabama and didn't make the playoffs because of that one loss. But they do return Carson Beck at quarterback. Carson Beck threw for nearly 4,000 yards in his first year starting for that Georgia offense. He will be a second-year starter in 2024, and he has an incredibly talented roster around him. This is where I'd give Georgia the edge over Ohio State. Georgia has the better quarterback. That might be the only thing that separates Georgia from Ohio State. But regardless of who I have at number 1, I think the top 4 is very clear. But I decided to go with Georgia at number 1 because they have the elite coach, they have the elite quarterback, and they have the elite defense. Kirby Smart could possibly make it 3 national championships next season. But anyways, what would you guys change about my preseason top 25? Let me know down in the comments below. My next 4 videos are going to be predictions for each Power 4 conference in 2024. I will be predicting every Power 4 conference championship game. And after that, I will also do my final 12-team playoff predictions for the 2024 season. But that is going to do it for today's video. Let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel, because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing and also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.